Guten Erev Shabbos. I hope you are doing fine, getting ready for Shabbos Tzurichos, which is the Shabbos when we begin the supplication of asking God for forgiveness and beseeching for a new year. We started at 12 a.m. on Saturday night. We specifically do it in the middle of the night at the first moment of the morning to show God how serious we are. I wanted to speak about something about this week's Torah portion that's actually very beautiful and important. You know, in 1940 and again in 1983 to 2010, they had the Framingham Health study, which was a study to figure out what brings happiness to people. And basically, surprisingly, the study found out that happiness comes in clusters, that people are happy because of the people around them. And in fact, there's 3 degrees to happiness. That means that happiness could impact not just the person's friends, but the friends of those person's friends. So it's 3 separations. And they found that even if you have a friend within a mile distance that lives from you that is happy, it helps you be happy, and it'll make you be happier, and it'll impact your happiness. And this is a little bit of a surprise, because people always say, oh, happiness comes from within. That's a typical way we see things. But the truth is that this study confirmed and was tested by Harvard back then and done again all the way to 2010, that true happiness comes from the people you're surrounded with, and that clusters are what breed true happiness. But we don't need a Harvard study to tell us, and it shouldn't be surprising, because the Torah tells us in this week's Torah portion. You know, on the Liberty Bell, it says, and you call Jubilee year for all its inhabitants. The Torah recognized that in order for people to be happy, you need everyone to be happy. So it's not just about you, but it's about the people you're surrounded by. And in the beginning of this week's Torah portion, where we read the famous mitzvah of bikurim, which is bringing the first fruit to God, and thanking God for all the joy in your life, it says, when you come to the land and you conquer it, then you settle it. And Rashi and all the commentaries say that the biblical commandment of bikurim wasn't given to the Jewish people till everyone was settled. Now, if you study a little bit about it, you find out that it took the Jewish people 7 years to conquer Israel, and another 7 years to inhabit it. So, for example, if in the 8th year, after they conquered 7 years, the first people started to settle, and they had first fruit, you would think that immediately the first fruit they should bring to Jerusalem and say, thank you to Hashem. But the Torah tells us no. They had to wait another 6 years until everyone settled the land, until everyone had their place. And you might ask, I don't understand. Why can't I go to Jerusalem and tell God, thank you for all this happiness in my life? When I got it, why do I have to wait for the next person? And the answer is, because the Torah is teaching us what it took the Framingham Health study to find till 1940, that true happiness comes in clusters, that you can't really be happy unless those around you are happy. And it's such an important lesson in our life, and especially you think about all the divisiveness we have in our country, and all the living like the Joneses. Everyone wants to be like the next person, and look at the next person. How come he has more than me? And it says, oh, I can't be happy unless I have more than them. But the truth is, the Torah is teaching us one of the most important lessons we could learn. You want to be happy? Surround yourself with happy people. Be happy for them. Help them be happy. We have a famous Talmudic thing that tells you that someone that prays for their friend, God answers them first. So the simple explanation is, because when you pray for your friend, God hears that you care about someone else, He cares about you. But it's also because only through happiness around you does it bring true happiness to you. Think about what community is. People say, Rabbi, shul, I could daven at home. What do I have to come to shul for? But we all know that one of the greatest things that shul does is it breeds clusters of happiness. When people come to shul and they sit by the kiddush and they say l'chaim, they eat some brisket and cholent, and they mingle and they speak to their friends about what's going on in life, it makes everyone around them also happy. And there's a famous story I've told you before, one of my favorite stories, that of the guy who stopped coming to shul. And one day the rabbi comes and he wonders why he's not coming to shul, and he sees the guy sitting alone at home by his fireplace. So the rabbi goes over to the fireplace, and there's a bunch of pieces of logs of wood, and the fire's burning high, and he takes one of the pieces, takes the stick, stick and he takes one of the pieces of wood and he pushes it away and he sits back down next to the person. Well, guess what happens? In 10 minutes, that piece of wood, the fire died because it wasn't surrounded by the other wood to keep the fire going. And the rabbi leaves. And the next week, the guy was back in shul. What was the message the rabbi was sending him? We need community. We need happy people around us. We need to make sure others are happy. Community is so important because it allows people to surround themselves with happy people, and it allows people to care for others' happiness and have people care for their happiness. And that's the message. Jubilee for all its inhabitants. And that's the message we'll be calling. My friend, we're coming to Russia. We're coming to Rosh Hashanah. May Hashem bless us to be surrounded by happy people and to create others to be happy and to be happy when others are happy. Because that's what leads to ultimate happiness. Shabbat Shalom. For those of you who have children, even if you don't, we have a great program today at Shul from 5 to 6 p.m. where we will be having a musical sing-along for Shabbat, before Shabbat, with refreshments for the kids. And it'll be lovely. We have a lot of people coming. You're welcome to join us tomorrow morning at Shul. Shabbat Shalom.